Hey guys, it's a quick tutorial just on texturing in 3ds Max, really basic. I'm not going to go through all the details, but I'll just give you a really crude introduction to modeling in, UV layout in 3ds Max. So here I have a very basic cube-like car, almost like structure. So what we'll do is we'll go down into the modifier list, and specifically we're looking for unwrap UVW in that modifier. We click on that, we get this option, and first thing we're going to do is click on the open UV editor, which popped up in another window, and I'm just going to do it over here. So for here, yeah, I've got a whole bunch of faces that are not really assigned properly at this point in time. So I could, I guess I could go into cook a line. I think I'll start with planar mapping. Sorry, I need to select the face mode. So I select all the faces like so. So I'm in face mode selection, and then I align planar. Yeah, it should do it straight down the top. So with that, I'm gonna just quickly, just to get quick results, I'll just go unfold mapping, and it's done a pretty good job on that object. However, I kind of want, what I want is a symmetry down the middle. If I have a symmetry down the middle and I take this into Photoshop, then I can essentially texture one side and flip that across to the other. So as opposed to if I lay this out and there's islands everywhere, so this side of the car, let me turn the checkers off so you can see what I'm talking about. So this side of the car is this way, and then the other side of the car is rotated and then horizontally presented this way. It just makes it a little bit trickier to start texturing all those little islands, given the fact that they're sort of laid out randomly. So what I'm going to do is go into some of these faces. Some of them are connected. It's kind of randomly chopped them up. And if you see these thicker green lines, it's showing you where they've all sort of been cut up and spread to pieces. So what I can go do, in edge mode is select the faces. I can go, I've got both break and world. So I can go, I guess I could go stitch to source, or not stitch to source, pardon me, stitch custom. So that'll sort of start spreading and putting those faces together, the ones I do want put together, and essentially I'm gonna start cutting it the way I want. So to cut that, I hit under explode break, and I can do that for all the edges I want to break or have separate. So yeah, I could have that for that as well. I'm not going to worry too much about the underside of the car because we're not really going to see it. But the top of the car, definitely, I'm gonna stress more time on that. And I'll probably separate the roof from the car as well, from the top of the car as well. Gonna go break. Okay, so now I got all. I forgot this piece. So now I've got all these separate bits. So if I go, I think if I use down in my UV editor the, let's get out of edge mode, go into face mode, doink. What am I doing? Oh yeah, because I'm in the wrong menu set. So if I go down to pack custom, lay those out. So yeah, it's sort of put all those cars separate to one another. Better select this side as well. Select all the faces. That's because I'm not selecting, because I've got back face, ignore back facing on. So if I click that off and I select that all, I'll get everything. So ignore back facing on. I just get the ones I can see, and it ignores the ones I can't see. So if I select all that, there I go. Now I just want to pack custom, so it has everything laid out the way I want it. So has it overlapped those two? Wow, it's actually split up my car quite a bit. That one looks like it hasn't laid out properly, so let's go unfold mapping. Okay, now I want to pack custom. Alright, that looks better. So what I just redid that again with every thing selected, having not known that my ignore back facing was turned on, so I didn't lay that out properly. So that looks a little cleaner. But they're all those separate little islands I'm talking about, and obviously that's what I wanted to avoid to begin with. But the cool thing is, we can deal with those islands by stitching them back together exactly the way we want. So the good thing is we've got these thick green lines as a guide as to what these little islands are. So in tandem we can work alongside the 3D view and the edit UVW editor view to figure out what's going where. And the two key things we're going to be using in both these views are edge mode, so edge select, and we'll be now there's probably cleaner ways to do it, but this is like the 5-minute version of getting it all back together and stitch. So the edge I've selected and the edge that it belongs to have both been highlighted. So the edge that the selected one belongs to highlights blue. So if I hit stitch custom will respect the initial layout of the object. Yep, and it moves it across. Again, I do this for this guy, again stitch it across. Now we're starting to see that symmetry line, which I said was going to be down the middle of the car, starting to take form. I'll hit this one and this one, I guess, and I'm going to go stitch. I'll hit this one and this one, so it's automatically doing exactly what I want it to do, just by the use of these two tools in edge mode. Then of course the end of that one, end of that one, I'm going to stitch. And what have I got there? I've got, yep, so I just want to, so I'm not exactly sure what I'm selecting, so I guess I'm grabbing these two, and I hit stitch. Awesome. And actually that's stitching it to the bottom of the car. Let's have a look, because I'm not exactly sure if those faces are. So what I'll do is I'll grab these ones. Alright, so that's the bottom of the car. Since the bottom of the car is going to be separate, it looks like one of the faces is still attached there. Let's have a look. Doink, doink. Grab all of these. Let's do it in 3D view, might be easier. And let's have a look. If I move that across, it looks like something's still sticking together, so it's that side. So let's have a look. Let's see if we can't break that by grabbing our edge mode, selecting these edges, and then hitting our break tool. Yep, cool. Alright, so hopefully that's done. That'll move away now as an entire separate piece. Let's grab that guy, that guy, that guy, that guy, that guy, and yep, see, it's a separate piece. Awesome. So I don't want that attached. I've broken all the edges. That little edge is now longer done because I manually went in using both in tandem the UV texture view and the 3D view to break that apart. Now everything now is currently at the same scale because this isn't going to get textured, and I don't want it to share this UV space, this UV square that represents the area that's going to be baked out to Photoshop. I'm essentially just going to scale it down. I'm just going to scale it down because it's not going to be textured. It won't share that one-to-one UV space, but it doesn't need to. So yeah, let's hit R on my keyboard. Get my scale tool, there we are. That little triangle shows up. So yeah, let's just grab it, move it out of the way, somewhere in the corner, and continue on with our stitching operation. So back into edge mode, I'm gonna grab this guy, control select that guy, hit custom stitch. Again, I'll hit this guy and this guy, custom stitch. Awesome. Alright. So with that in mind. I've got my entire piece. I've got my beautiful symmetry line going down the middle, so if I select that in edge mode, that should show up in the middle of my UV texture map, which it is. That's the symmetry I wanted to work in Photoshop to keep it nice and clean. So essentially I could just texture this side, copy the image, flip it across to this side, just making sure that it lines directly up in Photoshop with this middle line, and then essentially I'm doing half the work. Okay, let's do that. Move that across, get our arrow tool to show up so we can action that move, and beautiful. So with that, that's kind of semi in the middle of the image. I believe there's a there is an option to like grid snap that. You can turn the grid on if you like and snap that in the middle, which I am grid snap. So if I hit G, I think I have to go view, show grid, display, options, display grid. I had this show grid, sorry. And then I go to grid snap. I could doink, snap that right in the middle. So that's gonna be exactly where I want it to be. If I want that grid to shrink or grow, I can. Maybe I don't want it so close to the edge for my texture. I want it in the middle. Yeah, you could essentially just move that up a little bit more on that direction, which I can't currently do. What am I doing? So turn grid snap off. Yeah, well, I can make the grid a lot smaller through other means, but just to keep this nice and clean and to the point. So yeah, so in Photoshop that would see, you know, you could, if you're using grids in Photoshop, then the grids would match up, and that'd make it a little bit more efficient. But you guys probably won't be doing that. You'd probably be manually selecting this side and then copying it across, and then you can just use the UV map as a guide to where you're meeting, basically where you're meeting the seam in the middle. Yeah, so look, like I said, it was going to be short and crude. Let's see, I've just moved it off center. Short and crude, but it gets you the idea in about 12 minutes of me demonstrating. Gets you pretty familiar with what you need to do with texturing. Just remember your UVW unwrap UVW modifier, and you're going to be working in tandem in the UV editor. You're going to want to rewatch to make sure you know how to unfold, know how to break your edges in the right places. Thinking of a cardboard box, you're going to break, you know, all the sides on the corner, and then you're going to lay it out flat so it looks like a cross, or you know, like a medical cross plus sign, to make it completely flat, but also have, you know, have a respectable and manageable surface to work in Photoshop, where your symmetry lies in the middle and you haven't got 1,000 little islands all over the place and you don't know what's what. Cool. All right, that's it. Thanks for your time, and I hope this helped. Okay, bye.